The chap on the comments mentioned he wanted to see proof of snow. Well, it took me a little while to put all this down last night, but there you go. This is our first snowfall of the season. Cars everywhere. I've got to get rid of these because when my ploughman comes, he likes to just have a clean sweep down the yard. And also, look, can you see why I hate roof racks? Because you can never clean them out, look, when it's got snow on them. Terrible things. And then when you're working on them, it's drip, 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 drip all the time. Anyway, less about that. Let's get to work. So, back in the shop, it's time for my old 130 to get sort of winterised. Not that I'll be using it all that much, because I've got my Harris coming. First thing was why I brought it in overnight. The sunroof on this is an appalling thing. It's always leaking. So I give up in the end, and I put a tube of silicone around it. I just don't care. So if you're ever doing it thinking it's going to be really fancy and tarty to put a sunroof in, forget it. They're just a complete waste of time and another leak. That's the last thing we want. Bloody leaks. Second, I'm just going to go around the push buttons in the door with some of this honey glue. Now this stuff doesn't really dry out. It's a lubricant. But I'll show you what I do with the push buttons and you'll understand why. On the door seals, I'm going to put some of this dry Teflon lube. Usually used silicone, but it ain't got none. But it says on the back of here, creates an invisible barrier resistant to the adhesion of slime. Quite a few people like here, around here. Algae, dirt and ice. Because yesterday I had a bugger of a job trying to get in the car. Because it had rained overnight, then it froze to -2. Well, the rubbers had stuck to the door because last year's stuff had sort of gone. So I'm going to use some of that. So let's get on with that. Now, I would have used fluid film to do the door knobs, but I'm using this honey glue instead. Why? Because you can see, damn thing fell on the floor, lost me knob, you know, the sprayed knob. And of course this one doesn't fit, and every knob I've tried won't come out. So, little top tip. I'm not going to waste this, I'm going to throw it away, naturally. But, you know those empty squeezy bottles that your missus has for cleaning counters and stuff like that? You know, the spray things. Well, simply drill in the top of here, because then it'll let the gas out. And then pour it into one of them and use it again. I use it for all sorts of stuff, they're really good. So, the problem with my knob. Snow and ice sits on the top of here, and then when you come to push your button in to open the door, thus, the button sticks in, and then you can't shut the door. So while it's warm, I know you shouldn't put oil in locks because it attracts dirt. We're going to force some of that into there. Look at that, get in there. Same for the latch. We'll do the same for the other side. Now for the door seals themselves, we're going to use some of this Teflon. We're going to, look, if you're ever thinking about painting your car, don't use this stuff. If you're going to paint it in future because it's a bugger to get off. Me, I don't care. Spray it around the shuts. On the door frame itself. On the bottom. And all up the seal. Don't try not to get any on your windows. There we go. Do that for all 4 doors. What's the next important thing? Ah yes, oil can. Well, Ludy's borrowed my oil can and put it down somewhere, but what we're going to do is oil the hinges, and this time I'm going to use Crown rustproofing. It seems to be good gear, man. So I open my doors and give them a good old oiling. There. And give some of this stuff on this honey glue on here. And again, same thing. All the way around the edges. All on the seals. Do you know something? There's nothing worse than not being able to get your door open in winter. Especially in emergency when you run out of diesel like I do with this one. Same on this one here. Spray the hinges. all latches and levers. It'd be good to go. I'll put some in there, but I'll put a bit more in just in case. There you go. That's that done. I'll do the same to the other side and we'll come back. The Teflon stuff is very good, or the Teflon or the silicone's good. Now, if you've got a nicer car than me, because I don't care really, but if you've got a nicer car than me, squirt some of this into a cap and just go around the seals and the edges of the doors with a brush and brush it on. There's a top tip. Next, everybody neglects this one. Winch Connections. Get it on there, spray it on, don't care. All your rollers, your cables, your pins for your pivots down here, look for your hook, everything. Get it all sprayed on there, get it a good protection. What else? That'll eventually soak into there. I'll put quite a bit on. But if your winch is like a block of ice in winter, then it's no point having it, because that's the very time usually you need it. And because we know that this stuff creeps, it's going to be really, really good. Next, we'll have a look under the bonnet. So under the bonnet, give it a general spray crown, all the bits and pieces that you need. This will creep all over the place. Don't worry if it's not missing all of your engine, except for your belts, which I've just sprayed. Hose clips, don't forget them, they're always a bugger, aren't they? Because you know it's going to go wrong in winter. Anything that's got metal on it really. Quite a lot. Oh, I've got some on my turbo, but that don't matter too much, it's some bun off. Heater box, hose clips up there, all the way down here, in the front of here. Get inside. Get inside the top of the bonnet like this, look. Spray it. Spray it, spray it, spray it. The thing is, this stuff is not very expensive, so but that'll help a tremendous lot, you know. Down in the cavities, let it work its way in. On that bulkhead, all your fittings, fuse box, hoses, clamps, clips, you name it. Starter motor's just been done. Get it on. Inner wings. Anywhere that's going to get rust. Oh, you didn't see that bit, did you? Well, let's do it again. Can't put it up on. Well, there you go, give it a good old coating. And that will soak its way in on your universal joints of your steering shafts, everywhere. All your adjusters, everywhere. Just spray it on, man, because it'll make a film and it lubricates as well. There we go, that's for that. Now, thing that a lot of people forget to do, spray it on the back of the lights. Don't worry, it will work its way in. Bolt the screws on your lights, squirt them. Again, get in at the top, spray it in, screws, rivets. Job done. I'm so short of space. I can't put my camera back any further. I suppose I could do another foot or so. Let's have a look at that. That's all right. Next, check all the fluids. I know, for example, I've got a very dodgy windscreen washer bottle, and I've got it tucked under the wing under here. I'm so lazy. Well, I'm not lazy. I just haven't got time to do it. But it's got a very slow leak, so I just keep buying washer fluid because it's only cheap. I'll show you what we use. This is from last year. It goes down to minus 45, and I don't think I'll be outside at minus 45. The last thing you want is when you're out on the road, you want to use your washer jets, because we really do use, because of all the slush kicked up from the vehicle in front, for the lines to freeze up. You know, water's not good enough, and even putting washing up liquid's not good enough, so we buy the proper stuff. It's only about $4, it's not expensive. So we'll top that up and then we'll check our wipers. Things they don't teach you at school. How to pour out of a jug. If you look very closely on some of the jugs here in Canada, they've got the actual directions how to pour it, because everybody pours like this on the floor. But what you should do is pour like this. Let the air back into the bottle or the container. Then you can whack it in at whole speed, you know, wholesale speed. There we go. Look at that. It should actually take a full one of these. Oh, must have been a bit empty. Oh, I've got a bit left for top up. That's it, that's how quick it is. Same with oil, same with everything that comes out of a can. If you tip it like this, it'll glug. But if you tip it like that, it comes out. I thought everybody knew that. Well, probably everybody does. Right, cap on. I just thought of something else to squirt while I was at it. Oh, aye, let's check the oil level. Now, I'm a bad one for changing oil because I've done 3,000 kilometres in this car over the year, and I'm a really bad one because I've still got 040 oil in it from last year. I changed the filter, but the oil was so expensive for the mileage I do, because it's high mileage oil, that I only do it every now and again. Because you see, on my dash inside, I've got an hour meter, if you see what I mean. I don't go off speedos and things like this, so I just have a check and see how many hours the oil's done. You haven't done all that much. And there you go, it's up there. It could do with a little top up. You can see it more on this side, you see. This Isuzu engine is quite good, but the oil's extremely light. And I had a problem with it when I first got it. It was burning a lot of oil, and it was the valve guide seals on the top. And I replaced them, but I think they weren't very good quality. I should have got genuine Isuzu ones. But also I think the valve guides are a bit worn, so maybe one day I might just treat this, if I don't sell it earlier, to a head off and put the guides in and maybe check the bores. But the compression on it was really good, so maybe I don't have to do the bores on it. So I'll top up the oil, change the filter. Ooh. Check the coolant. Oh, that's up, that's good. Ooh, there's a place to put more squirty. Get down there. Ooh. Get in there. Top of the chassis, all the connecting bolts, everything. Don't be afraid of it. Because you know what it's going to be, it's going to let you down like a cheap pair of braces. This car's going to let you down like a cheap pair of braces for the simplest connection. Land Rovers that they usually do. So if you give them a good crown rust proofing with just a can, it'll get into all the connections, and apparently it destroys the verdigris on the contacts. I didn't know that, but a friend of mine, we were chatting to him the other day and I showed him my barrel, and he says, yeah, he says, he was a big paint supplier, he supplied the paint for this car, and he says, yeah, I've been to see, what's his name? Not Manitoulin. Anyway, one of the great big companies in town, it was a construction company, they'd been using crown rust proofing since the 60s, and he said, we've never replaced an electrical contact. We've never had problems with electrical stuff. It's dear stuff to buy, but by God, he says it works. That's that. What else have we got to check? The fuel filter, I'm going to put a new fuel filter on it. Power steering. Perfect. Perfect. I did the steering box on this about 4 years ago. I rebuilt it myself, and I must say, there's not a drop of oil leaked out of it. I've never topped it up in about 4 years. Maybe it'd be a wise idea to siphon the oil out and change it. So that's about that done. Just a quick one to check over. Got plenty of stuff. What a muppet I am! I just sprayed the inner wings, the inner arches, and I just realised the plastic, I must have got them off a late TD5 and put them on, because this is a real Heinz 57 car, so I didn't need to do that. Let's check the wipers. Turn the camera off. Back again. Very important, before you check the wiper, you know, drop the bonnet again, check the clutch level. That's now all crown rust proofed up. That's good. I've got a new cylinder on that this year, so it's not too bad. Right, the brake fluid, yep, that's good. No, I think that's about it really. Belt tension, that's good. No kinks or cricks in the hoses or anything like that, they're good. The heater on this is really, really good, I must admit. It's a really good heater, so I'm not too bothered about that. Right crown, back to bed. That's the last time we'll have a look at this engine for a while. Oh, my cable. Oh yes, the bonnet cable. I know I've got something there. I haven't got the traditional bonnet cable on here. I've got like what's called an engine stop as a cable. And it hasn't got the plastic coating on the outside. So that means I can put my crown rust proofing on the outside of the cable, which will actually work its way into the inside of the cable. Top tip. If you ever looked at my winch, you'll see I didn't put the remote on the top like everybody else does, all out in all the weathers. I put the controller here. I made this panel out of steel, aluminium, sorry, and then I put the controller under here, so it's out of the weather. But still, even though it's out of the weather, let's give all those contacts a really good rust proofing up. Now the thing is, you could do exactly the same when it's on the outside of your truck, just put a little bit of crown on it. And like I say, for $10 a can, I know I've got 2 cans here, but I haven't even used a full can yet. Well worth it. So that's going to seep into there and should be corrosion free. If you can recall from a video I did, what was it, about last year or year before, I put the tubes for the windscreen wash attached to the arms, if you see what I mean, there and there. I'm working backwards here. And I put some jets right on the end of the screen, on the end of the arms. And you can see how they work. So even when the wind's blowing, the screen wash, instead of diverting over the top of your roof like the little Y-jet does, it gets full maximum contact. Also, the jet, as you can probably see, goes this way and that way. It's like an L shape, so it's really good. I don't like the wipers on these 110s. I did try some winter wipers and I couldn't find any difference. What the difference is, well, I'll show you. This is your common garden wiper. Absolutely rubbish when it's cold. Why? Well, the rubber's not up to scratch for a start, and also ice and snow builds up in here, and of course snow turns to ice eventually because it melts off the heat of your screen and freezes these up solid. What we do, this is off a Disco 2, this is a winter blade for a Disco 2 or a Disco 1. Oh, is it Disco 1, Disco 2? I don't know, Disco something or other. I used to change the arms on a Disco 2 to put Disco 1 arms on, so you could put the cheaper blades on. But you can see it's got a rubber coating on the outside of the blade, and that stops the build-up of snow and ice, so they always remain flexible. Now you're going to ask me why they put this on, this arm on here like this, and I think it was to get a little bit more screen pressure on the screen, but no, they didn't work. But the outside stuff works, so the outside plastic really does help. But as I said, I don't really do all that many miles in winter, and I sort of clear off the snow off the screen beforehand. Now one of the reasons why I changed the jet that usually goes here, I've put a temperature sensor in there so I can tell how cold it is outside. Well, lazy bugger. But with the build-up of snow and ice, and especially when you've got the spare wheel on your bonnet, when you've got your snow brush knocking the snow off your vehicle, you can knock the jet off so easy, because you know they just drop off because they're only cheapy Chinese ones. And they don't last. Now I did see, a chap sent me some information on the Australian Parenti, and they actually put a little metal guard around that. And I thought, oh, what a great idea. They just had it like screwed on, so it would protect it from brushes and branches and things like this. I thought, that would work. I don't know why nobody's picked up on that. Maybe I should make some. Anyway, what's next to check? I don't know. Why don't you, I might as well say, why don't you use an oil-based product on your door seals? Well, oil and rubber are not the best of friends, and it'll cause them to rot. So that's why I'm using a myriad of different chemicals. Now, like I say, I put some of that honey goo on the door knobs, on the push knobs, but just sort of let it soak in and then just wipe off the excess. It'll be alright, because then it's on the inside, that's where you want it. And also it'll make all the mechanism work a lot better. What else can I do for this for winter? Oh, I'll have a look at the tow bar at the back and give this a quick squirt. Well, you don't need to see that, do you? I've just given this a quick squirting up, but like I say, in your trailer plugs, I've got 2 trailer plugs. I've got a 4-pin and I've got a 7-pin. Your pins down here, make sure they're all nicely freed up. Pin here, all your lights, all your fittings inside these bits. I already gave this a good old rust proofing earlier this year when I did the body job on it, and it's held up quite well. Pivots, things that come loose, anywhere that you can get ice in or water, just give them a good old lubing up. I know it's a bit dark, but if I open the door it's going to be too cold. Since I discovered that this was such a good electrical contact cleaner and lubricant, I've already sprayed these, but put some crown inside your stalks. Get it in there. What harm can it do? Where your steering wheel rubs on there. Where else? Handbrake pivots. Oh, this is my old favourite. Under here for the clutch. You know, for the pedal, the pivot. Get it right up inside. Wait a minute. There we go. Right up there. Give that a good lube. Pivots. Up inside your brake tower. Pivots. Get in there. Oh, that little pivot there. You notice I've only got one control on there because I have a heat. I just have one knob. Well, that's all you need really, isn't it? Other places you can use your crown rust proofing. Fuse box. Give it a generous spray inside there. Again, your your bonnet cable. Pivots here. That's my airbag. Seat runners. Everybody forgets seat runners. And of course, these corners. Look how spotless they are. No rust at all. So there's a few little other clues that things you can rust proof up. It's yeah, it's good stuff. I really like it. Wheel nuts, don't forget them. They're already greased up, but anything to stop the snow and ice building up, you know. If you want to take your wheel off in winter, it's well worth doing. So I'm just about ready now to put my spare wheel on, get some rust proofing like that. The paint held up very well actually, I was really pleased with that. Oh, there we go. I've got to put some rubber bungs back in these holes, that's no big deal. Pivots, all this will sort of semi-wash off next year, but I'll tell you something, once they start seizing up, that's it. Yeah, stainless, but you can never tell, can you? The mirror pivot, you know, the mirror pivot round here, they always seize. Hey, I was looking at some light mirror arms at Paddocks, because they had what's called puddle lights on. They were heated mirrors. Well, you didn't get the mirrors, but you got the arms. £250 for a pair. Who the hell's buying them? Idiots. In fact, I tell you something, we'll give those wolf wheels a bit of a crowning up as well. Give them all a crown, because you notice when you get steel wheels, they go rusty in here. So let's get some rust proofing in there. Where else? You see, it's not too bad. Well, I've got to replace that light. All your nuts and bolts, but they didn't go rusty, look, you see. You see all that box around there, my electrical connection box, that's really waterproof. That's a rubber-like one, they're really recommended. These pivots here, pivots, bolts. The beauty about this product is you can be a bit sort of lapsadaisical with it because it creeps everywhere. That's a nice thing. Oh, bolts up here, they're bound to go. Let's put some rust proofing on that. I think that's about it really. I've done the pivots on the top and there. That's it. I think that's my winter service just about done. So if I think of anything else, I'll let you know. Like I say, I'm not bothered. I'll wipe that excess off with the paper towel, but I'd rather let it soak in first and work it. Oh, I'll tell you what I've got to do. I've got to check the air filter on this. Good thing I checked the air cleaner. This is one of the problems when you've got a snorkel on the top, because even though the drain here is a bit knackered, but it's open, it's not sealed up. I've seen people tape these up, but it still drags water. It drags water in. You know, it pulls it in because this engine uses so much air, pulling it in. It's like a big vacuum cleaner. So I think that's seen better days. Good job on it, change it. That's kaput. Put a new filter in it, and yeah. Now the underside of it, this is just a general rundown pre-winter check and sort things out for winter. The car's pretty good underneath, so there's nothing really to show. The only job I've got to do, which is annoying me, when I put the starter back on, I had to take the downpipe off, and it's on like a ball flange, and I need to loosen off the bolts and move it because it's just touching the chassis. I did mean to take it down to an exhaust shop and get them to bend on their machine a better pipe, but all I had to do was weld it up because that's all I had. But that's about it really, I think so. I've sprayed all inside this grill when you weren't looking, when you went for a cup of tea. I sprayed underside that, all around inside, all inside here. Honestly, the crown is quite good stuff if your vehicle's not too bad. If you've got layer upon layer upon layer of grease, tar and all sorts of stuff like they put here in Canada, well, it ain't going to work all that well because it's too thick and it just absorbs. A lot of the old guys used to use engine oil. Oh, that's bad. It sort of works, and people say, oh, it's too acidic and stuff like that. Well, no, not really, because when you've got rubber bushes, it tends to deteriorate rubber quickly. That's not a good thing. And it smells a bit. I think that's it. I think she's fit for winter. I'm going to check the resistance of the block heater. You know, check the resistance, make sure that's okay, because we'll probably need that, no doubt. But like I say, I don't use this all that much in winter. I only use it when there's very deep snow, because they plough the roads out pretty damn good here. So that's why the Yaris is nice, because it's just cheaper to run in winter, if you see what I mean. The diesels are quite handy to have, but for me, I don't do miles like I used to do. And I found out that this isn't getting very good gas mileage or economy, should I say. I would have thought it would have been a lot better, but it's not really. It's just like in fact, I think a TDI is more economical than this thing, but it's got more torque and it's quieter. Can't win, can you? See you later.